I was in a coaching call yesterday with one of my clients, and we got speaking about loads of things, as we do, but during the session, they asked me, what's your connection to God? How do you connect to God? And I have to admit, during the session, it put me on the back foot for a moment because I was a bit surprised. And obviously, as the coach, you do the majority of the asking of the questions. However, of course, people like to know more about you sometimes, and that's absolutely fine. So it got me thinking, because it's a brilliant question. And I've asked people this before, and I've pondered it a lot. And I would say the greatest way that I connect to God is actually through my work, through what I do, through the time that I put towards helping people. I'd say that's how I connect to God in the greatest way. And how does that actually sort of manifest in day-to-day life? Well, I'll be sitting there and I'll be working for hours and hours, but I'll have this unending, endless motivation because I know what I'm doing is aligned with my path with a heart. I know that it's actually genuinely helping people. I know that some parts of what I do are very, very effectively fighting back against the evil forces in this world. And I know that some people find tremendous benefit from the work and stuff that I put out there. That to me gives me so much motivation. And when I tie it back into my greater life purpose and the reason that I'm existing on this planet at the moment, and that is to help humanity evolve and raise the vibes and just sort of bring more of the divine into this world, and that to me is kind of the most powerful way that I connect to God in my day-to-day life. And on top of that, you've got things like prayer. I think praying is amazing, and I pray very often, and not only when things are going wrong, but I think praying in gratitude is a brilliant exercise. If anybody is ever looking to connect with God, if you're just appreciating what you have right now, because I can guarantee you've got a lot of things to be grateful for, even if your life isn't tip top in every single way right now. So praying in gratefulness is really, really awesome. But when I'm like in the zone and I can just feel this and then I instinctively or just sort of naturally now in my mind, it's like God is more in my thoughts. If you think about God more and just talk to God more and just have it more in your reality, then that is a way to connect to God. And it's like you, over time, at least this is how it sort of worked for me, because my connection with God has grown and changed and developed. It's like you're just constantly in tune with God. It's like your actions, like you are just a carrier, a vessel, a divine agent that's here to bring God into the world, and that just sort of plays out in your day-to-day life. And then you've got tied in with that is at least for me, my connection with God is challenged and tested sometimes. And how does that actually play out? Well, you'll have difficult situations arise and your faith will be then challenged. And it's like, do you actually believe in this higher power that's looking after you in many different ways? Or are you just paying a lip service? And I do believe that your connection to God can get stronger and you can be more aligned with God, and the work that you do can have more of a positive effect on more people's lives, and it's not just to make some person rich at the expense of everybody else. You can actually be genuinely helping people with your work, and it lights them up, it lights you up, and it lights God up. And I find the more you go into this journey, the deeper, the greater you become of service to others, and the more you prove yourself worthy to divine forces, the more great the greater protection you receive, the more benefits, if you like, come forward. And it's a different way of looking at things from a perspective of, if you don't do this, you're going to suffer in hell forever. There's a very fear-based approach. This is a bit more of a love-based approach, and it's incentivizing you to be a good person, because good things are going to happen to you, and it's like the best way to live on this world. And if you live with integrity, you prove that you are worthy of being able to hold power and influence and money, and then you will be granted greater access to these things. Because if you were someone on the divine and you want to get the divine warriors, you wouldn't give somebody who's just going to waste all the money and time and energy, or maybe cause more harm with it. But if you are, of course, the evil forces, that's the kind of person you attract. That's a whole different evolutionary line. And anybody listening to this video, I'm going to assume that you don't want to be going down that path. You're here because you want to be service to others and help people and come on to the better timeline, in my opinion. So just to wrap up this video, I'm going to give you possibly the most pertinent example that I've ever had of testing faith, and how it was so effective and so powerful that what happened afterwards was incredible. So Anyone who's been following my work will know that I'm a traveller. I've been travelling for many years. I took a bit of a break during the COVID season to be an activist and fight for the UK and damn near the whole world. So I've done a lot of travelling through Helpex. It's a website, and you always, if you're going to be doing it long term, you always need to be finding your next place, so because you're never going to stay in the same place forever. And I was staying at a pretty good place, actually. I enjoyed it. However, I'd been there a few months and it was sort of getting towards the end of my stay. I could sort of feel that. And so I lined up my next place and I said to my host, hey, look, I think I'm going to go now, or go soon. And they're like, okay, sure. They're a bit upset, but that's how it goes. But for whatever reason, my next host cancelled on me. They're almost last minute. And I had about 10 days to find a whole new place to live. Now, most people in that situation would be a bit distressed, right? And undoubtedly, I've been before in similar situations. But you think to completely change your entire trajectory of where you're going, imagine if you had to find somewhere new to live in 10 days. 10 days, you're getting kicked out. Because, yeah, so they cancelled, and I went back to my host and like, sorry, no, we can't, we can't keep you. You're going to have to go. And so I remember coming back to my accommodation after that conversation and just sitting at my desk, and I had this overwhelming feeling that everything's going to be okay. I could feel it in my heart. My heart was actually glowing quite profoundly, and it was very strong, and it was really nice. And I was just in this state, this spiritual state of like, it's just going to work out. I can just feel it. I know, of course, I'm going to have to take some actions and find a new place, but I'm going to find a new place, and it's going to be great. So that happened, that moment, that test of faith, because what is faith if it's not tested, right? I think you do have to build it and grow it and develop it. Faith based on experience is a lot better than faith based on dogma, because you're scared that you might go to hell or whatever. But if you actually go through life and you experience things and you're like, there is a high guiding hand, especially when I'm more aligned, then it gets tested and challenged. And then shortly after that, I went to my next place. I found a place and it was really cool. It was in Wales. But then I started the Great Reopening. And who knows what would have happened, what could have happened if I had have not been in such a strong level of faith and belief. And when I look back at how much that movement changed my life and so many people's lives, absolutely incredible. So that's an introduction on my connection to God and how it's helped me in the past and how it will continue to help me in the future. It's an amazing connection to build. I think everybody should develop a connection to God, develop their own connection to God. And I'd be curious to how you guys in your own lives, how do you connect with God?